Welcome to Transitions by Diversified, where we explore the changes, big and small, that help advisory teams evolve and evaluate every part of their business. From operations to marketing, to client service to compliance, we believe every transition is an opportunity to build something better. Today, we're joined by Molly, our Senior Administrative Assistant at Diversified. Molly has an incredible gift. She creates deep, authentic connections with clients in a way that turns everyday service into true hospitality. From remembering a favorite snack to sending flowers at just the right moment, Molly makes clients feel known, seen, and valued. So this conversation is more about not just about great service. It's about how firms can empower their team members to deliver experiences that differentiate and delight. So let's dive in. Welcome, Molly. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited about this. Andrew, who's our CEO, sent out one of our shout outs the other day, and he was talking about you and you're sitting crisscross applesauce, facing a client, having a deep conversation. And it's that part of the values that we really enjoy when it comes to hospitality and creating a service model that is unique around Diversified. So I want to explore that today. But before we do, tell us a little bit about your role at Diversified, how you see it and how you got your started in our client service project.
Yeah, so we can start well even before Diversified. I've been working in the client service industry since I was 16 years old, where I landed my first job at a small family owned ice cream shop in Crystal Beach, Maryland. If you know me, you probably won't be surprised when I say that I spent a tremendous amount of time talking to people and all the fun beachgoers. And then I quickly realized there how much that I loved connecting with people. Fast forward to my college years, where I had the incredible opportunity to work at Disney World and Epcot, where I received firsthand training and creating memorable guest experiences. My favorite part of this entire adventure was bringing the magic to life for others and watching them light up when I did something thoughtful and unexpected, whether it was a small child who lost their balloon and you were able to replace that balloon, or someone dropped their ice cream and you were able to go ahead and be like, hey, here's several more treats that you can have on me. This experience truly sparked my passions not only for Disney, because let's face it, Disney is the best, but also for making people feel valued and happy. Jumping forward a couple years, uh, lands me where I am currently. I joined the Diversified team in September 2021. And in my current role as a senior administrative assistant, I primarily support the Wilmington advisors, as well as our amazing administrative team, which is spread out across 5 offices currently. My day to day includes managing schedules, coordinating meetings, juggling all different types of communication, and making sure everything runs smoothly behind the scenes. You can kind of think of me as the office version of a Swiss Army knife, but way more calendar invites involved.
That is really cool. I had absolutely no idea about the Disney part, and I can see, when we talk about great client experience, that's one of the major focuses, especially at all the theme parks. So when I think about that, I think about spectacular client service. What does spectacular client service mean to you personally?
For me, it's about creating an experience where the client feels cared for, heard, and valued. I never want them to feel like how I do when I'm calling Verizon, which, for those of you who don't know, is extremely frustrating. It's not just about checking things off a list, it's about noticing the little things, being one step ahead, and adding a personal touch wherever you can.
That's cool. So when you say personal touch and you say, small habits and things like that, what are some of those small habits and practices that you use every day to make that big difference for clients?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that not only I, but everybody can offer is clear and timely communication. I try to make it a point every single day to respond to every email as quickly as possible, even if it's just to send a, hey, I got it, I'm on it. It might seem like a teeny thing, but it really helps build trust, shows clients that their time and concerns actually matter, and that I'm not just ignoring them while binge watching Disney movies. Try to save that for the weekends. Another thing I'm big on is double checking the details, whether it's a meeting invite or a document or a follow up task. It's those little extra moments of attention that help prevent mistakes and make sure everything runs smoothly and avoids all different types of frustration.
But you are focused almost exclusively day to day on the Wilmington office, and there is a number of other offices that we work with. So you've got a ton of stuff. How do you stay organized and you juggle all of these client needs all at once?
Yeah, so sticky notes, calendar reminders, and my trusty notebook are basically my survival kit here. If it's not written down somewhere, it probably doesn't exist. And let's be honest, my brain can only hold so much before it starts completely buffering worse than my computer.
So as firms have joined Diversified, you've taken a responsibility in helping them in the client service area as well. So not the firms that we've worked with and acquired, but what are some of the common mistakes that you see other advisors doing when it comes to that client service responsibility?
So one thing I see not only in the financial advising world, but in most industries everywhere, is just poor communication with clients. Not going to call Verizon out again. Sure, things can like slip through the cracks, but quick follow-ups and clear, easy to follow messages are key to avoiding frustration, keeping trust intact, and making sure clients don't feel like they're talking to a brick wall or even worse, an automated email response. Very frustrating. Another mistake I see are teams overlooking the small stuff. It's super important that no one just feels like they're a name on a spreadsheet. Our clients are everything, and it's up to all of us to make sure they feel that way, even if it's just by remembering they like two sugars instead of three in their coffee.
So I think that's something that's we're starting to see this elevation, right? It's not just, greet them when they walk in, but it's getting to know them. It's not just, offering them coffee, but knowing that they take two sugars. So can you share three actionable tips that advisors can implement immediately to enhance the service to their clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, and my biggest one, is to start by following up on personal details that clients share with you. For instance, if a client mentions they're going on vacation next week, take the time to reach out before they leave to wish them a good trip, and then follow up when you know that they're back and just ask them how it went. Keep some of your communication personal and avoid work-related topics. I feel it can go a really long way. Number two, keeping track of like your client's personal preferences. It's important to remember if they like the two sugars versus three. It seems silly, but this comes in handy for all different ways. And then also keeping the personal preferences comes in handy when you want to send a thoughtful gift or if you have like their favorite snacks and drinks ready for their next meeting. It's a simple way to make your relationship more personal and show that you pay attention to what they like.
And
Um,
that painted. Oh, go ahead. You got one more?
no, no, go ahead.
Okay, no, but that personal attention is one of the things that I really think is setting us up to that next level, is really creating that bond with the clients. And the challenge, of course, is how do you remember that they're coming back next Tuesday? How do you remember the little things? So what tools or resources, technology checklists and all that sort of stuff help you deliver that consistency?
Yeah, tools like Calendly, Outlook, and Zoom basically run my life here, and I'm not even mad about it. Without them, scheduling would be total chaos. Meetings would vanish into the void, and I'd probably still be stuck on an email chain from like last week. I also lean heavily on our CRM to track these daily preference or daily tasks and keep everything organized, as well as tracking client preferences. So that way I can remember, because I only can remember so much.
And so these are all the good things. What happens when you're trying to handle maybe a difficult client situation, but still have to remain positive?
So, difficult situations can definitely be frustrating for everyone involved, but I've learned that the key is to stay calm and try to see things from the client's perspective and get them an answer as fast as possible. Chances are they're just as frustrated and probably not thrilled about having to reach out to you in the first place. Nothing personal. My go to move is to first acknowledge how they're feeling and show a little empathy. It doesn't need to be a full-on therapy session, just something like, "Hey, that's like extremely frustrating. I'm so sorry you're going through that." Can go a long way. People just want to feel heard and they also want to know that someone's actually listening and not just waiting to respond. It can totally shift the tone of the entire conversation. Once we're on that same page, I always try to get them a solution as fast as possible, followed up by setting clear expectations for what's next.
So you're saying that communication, both proactive and reactive, is important in delivering that great service, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool. So let's talk about the mindset. I think the mindset and creating that right environment is important because, I've read a lot, and I know you have too, about talking about the difference between like service and hospitality, right? Service is just doing the right things. But hospitality is making that client feel engaged and warm and building that relationship. Hospitality is the one that the client's going to be the referral source for you. So, what advice would you give advisors who want to create a client first service or create a better hospitality, create a better model in this environment? What advice would you give to advisors who want to create a differentiated service approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So making sure your entire organization is aligned on the importance of the client experience and what exactly it should look like through the entire practice. A client first culture isn't the responsibility of just one person, it's a company wide commitment. From every single department, from the person answering the phone to the one who's buried in like Excel sheets, need to understand their part in making sure the clients have a consistent, high quality experience at every touch point.
So that's absolutely dead on. I love that point. And I have to tell a little quick story here just for a second for anybody that's listening here to this is that we were in a meeting a month ago talking about service hospitality, talking about experiences that are being created, et cetera. And I was sharing about a couple of organizations that had what branded themselves by having warm chocolate chip cookies. And I of course said, I love chocolate chip cookies, one of my favorite things in the world. And literally the next morning, there is a FedEx box on my doorstep from Molly. Hey, here's some chocolate chip cookies. What a great experience. And what a great mindset that is when you have somebody who's paying attention and actually is empowered. So I think that's the question I want to ask here is how do advisors empower their staff to make those types of decisions? How do they empower the staff to deliver that better client service rather than having to create all this infrastructure and everything that would get lost in the weeds? How do you empower staff to be able to do that?
Yeah. So, first things first, if you want to create an awesome client experience, you've got to first start with your team. Teams need to feel supported, valued, comfortable, speaking up. If their thought process is just keep your head down and survive the day, chances are that energy is going to spill over to clients. And so, number one, you got to focus on your team. Second, I think it's important to make sure that everyone gets the big picture. When team members finally understand how their day-to-day work impacts the client experience and the success of the whole business, it gives their work way more purpose. It's like going from, hey, I answer emails and phones every day, all day, to like, hey, I help this client journey. And it's like a well-oiled machine now. And then finally, the process. I know like the word structure is terrible to hear and not at all fun. But having clear systems and guidelines are extremely important to keep things from turning into like a free for all madhouse. It builds consistency, helps the team feel more confident, and it makes it way easier for everyone to deliver an exceptional client service.
That's, I think, a really great point is having the advisor work with the staff and everybody involved, that the whole firm understands the client experience and the journey that they're going through rather than just their individual jobs. I think that's a key point that you're making there. So what we're really talking about is a set shift from I deliver client service to I deliver an experience, right? So what's the most important mindset shift that the advisor is going to need to prioritize that client service, that client model, that client experience that's out there?
Yeah, so I think the most important mind shift, and not only for advisors, but honestly, the entire company, it needs to be and stop thinking of terms of like checking boxes, and start thinking of terms of creating like long-term relationships. No one wants to feel like an item on a grocery list, and that's kind of what it is. It's like, oh, this client sent me something to do, done, done. Like think of it as a person. And I also think there needs to be a shift in how we view the client relationship, so there is genuine care about the person behind the financial plan.
As we start to go forward, this is a big drive for us as a firm. I think, quite frankly, it's starting to be a bigger drive for the industry as a whole. How do you see in the future client expectations evolving, um, especially in financial advice and financial advisory business?
So I've seen it from people that have left other financial firms and have come to Diversified, and probably other places that I just don't know about. But people are like so much busier nowadays. No one has time to bounce around to like 5 different places looking for a financial advisor here, an insurance person here, tax person here, and whatever else that they need. I definitely see more clients gravitating towards a business that has a everything under one roof mentality.
That's a really interesting point. I start to think a lot about that. I call it kind of the Amazonification of our business, right? Is that, 10 years ago, I would have to go to a mall or a store or something to buy a product. I'd have to go see my financial advisor and all of that. And today, I can sit on my couch and I can look and I can find any shape, size, color, manufacturer, quantity. I can get reviews and everything. So this level of personalization is becoming much more important to the consumer. They're expecting it, whether it's in shopping or advice. So I think you're exactly right. As the client expectations are growing, they want to be have a personal approach. They want it to be transparent, and they're looking for a relationship, not somebody who just checks the box, like you said a few minutes ago. So I definitely see that the exact same way. Is that they're looking around, they're finding something different in the relationship they have with you and the rest of the firm. So what excites you most about the future of the service model that we're creating and building at Diversified?
Yeah, so I'm truly excited that Diversified is focused on blending technology without losing the personal touch. Sure, automation is awesome. I mean, who doesn't love fewer Excel spreadsheets? But the team here totally understands that no amount of software can replace an actual human conversation. So I'm excited to see that continuation of that blend of technology as we progress through a more modern time that relies more heavily on like AI, and automated messages and all that fun stuff.
Well, it was a piece that I read not too long ago. It said something to the fact that where AI can have the IQ, can help you, with the with the numbers and the activities. It can't help you with the EQ, and that's the relationship and the relationship management. And so I think what I've seen you do and what I've seen you excel at is building that client relationship and that experience. So if you could sum up in one sentence your client service philosophy, what would it be?
Honestly, it would just be ensuring that every client feels acknowledged, understood, and valued by providing personalized services, actively listening to their needs, and consistently striving to exceed their expectations.
That's amazing. Isn't that what everybody wants? Right? Cool. Molly, that was perfect. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for the experience. I think that when we start to think about transitions, as we're naming this post, what we've talked about is transitioning an advisory practice into a larger practice. We're talking about transitioning from just service work to a true client experience. I want to thank you for sharing your approach with us. You've shown us the small moments when done with intention can have a big impact on client service. And for advisory firms looking to stand out, the secret may not be in the next piece of technology or investment strategy. It could be how well your team listens, how it connects, and how it cares with the client. So, if you're exploring ways to transition your client experience to the next level, Transitions by Diversified is here to help. So, visit diversifiedllcadvisor.com to learn more. Thanks again, Molly.
Thanks.